So when you start to, let me just jump ahead one slide. When you get your first introduction, you always want to know what is your reason for being, what's your legacy. And I feel like I'm too young, although I'm starting to get gray hair, to have a legacy. But the very first time I was asked that question was by the father of my now wife, who was not yet my father-in-law. Yeah, so what's your legacy? I said, oh, I got that. My claim to fame. I got condoms into BC high schools. So word of advice, if your potential father-in-law asks you what your claim to fame is, don't say that you help people have more sex. But I did. That was my claim to fame many, many years ago. But it was one small decision that had a lot of downstream consequences. There's less of this. There's definitely less of this. And of course, there's less of this. You're welcome. So what I want to talk to you today about is those small little decisions that you make in growing a tech company especially, or even in your everyday lives that have big consequences. So we believe at Left, well, first off, who's here has heard of Left? Hands up. A few in the room. We're probably the most successful company you've never heard of because we don't actually live in Maple Ridge. We're out in the burbs. We're in Maple Ridge. We started there 7 years ago with the sole decision of not being a Vancouver tech company. We had no local customers. We wanted to do things a little bit differently. We just wanted to make product and have a lifestyle company. But a funny thing happened along the way. We started to have some success. Thanks to more success, and some more success, and some more success. We're now 7 years in. But every decision that we've made along the way has been with intent. Because growing a company is those series of small, deliberate actions. So what do I mean by that? We believe that the kite flies because of its tail. So you see in our logo, and they have a bunch of people who are wearing Left gear around here today. My partner Chris is at the back, and Melissa's at the back there. We have kites everywhere. We believe that the big projects you take on, whether it's part of an agile sprint, whether it's part of your individual goal setting, we call them those big projects kites. And all those little things you do every day, those small items that you achieve, those little decisions you choose to make or not make, those are the items that make up the tail. So just like I decided to get condoms into BC schools, it was because I didn't want to go see Mr. Smith, who lived down the street, who was the only pharmacist in town who sold condoms in small northern BC. Those decisions you make have big consequences. So where we're coming from, go through, advance. As an example, a few years ago, we were successfully sort of building some internet brands. We had Christmas.com, which is our most famous brand we had at the time. We had a few other little things we were doing and have some success along the way. And we had a chance to do something kind of different and kind of off the wall a little bit. We had a team over in Bangladesh where we had our first developer, and then 2 developers, then 3 developers, then 7, then 50, and then 25. We now have a team of 65. But when we started over there, we didn't realize how bad the network infrastructure was, how bad the communication plans were. And they built this very early technology to let people share and connect without using the internet. So peer-to-peer communication, device-to-device communication, no internet, nor data. So we had a chance to go out and say, you know what, we can actually tackle this, but how are we going to do it? Here we are, a small company in Maple Ridge. At that point, there was 7 of us, Chris? I think there was only 7 of us. And how can we actually go out and achieve those things? So Chris and I were walking along Charleston River in Boston saying, you know what, we have a big project in front of us. We can do this, but we have to do it very deliberately. We have to make the small steps now to go out and get the best people. So he said, in order for us to achieve this vision that we were setting out for ourselves many years ago, we need to go get the best people. To get the best people, we need to have a strategy. And really, the strategy started with setting up 2 kites for ourselves. We set 2 goals. We said by the year 2019, we want to be recognized as the best workplace in BC. And by the year 2020, we want to be recognized as having a world-recognized community engagement program. They're very aligned with our values. There's things we wanted to achieve. But doing so, if we had those things, we'd be able to go out and get the best people. The best people would allow us to get the best product. So we started things a little differently. And this is sort of the entry into our office. If anybody comes by on Fridays, we have beer o'clock. Come by for free beer. We do bottle our own. But it is James. Okay. So I thought a little plug there for LaBarge Weinstein. But every little action in our office, from the moment you walk in the door, is a deliberate small decision about creating a culture and environment that resonates with people. So from the sign on the door, to the games room, to the fact that we give our team unlimited community hours to volunteer all around the community with themselves. or with the community, to acknowledging success in every little action, to having Scotch tastings. We've had a few Scotch tastings now. Personally, I prefer not the Scotch, but the chocolate and the cheese that they served with it. That's just me. Or opening the doors to this community, inviting kids in to learn how to code. All those actions they do, unto themselves, they're really small actions. But when you add them up, good things happen. Those are the elements of the tail that make up the kite. Yes, that's Jason. Sorry, Jason, I threw you there. You were grunting and groaning and stuff. We have boot camp in the mornings because those little actions of getting fit are a big deal in a company. A few years ago, we decided to have a weight loss challenge when there's a small number of us. And in that company, when you have 7 guys sitting around doing a weight loss challenge, we all gain weight because the really unusual part is that we said, oh, you know what? We're going to do this weight loss challenge because it's the right thing to do. But in doing that, every dollar or every pound we save, we actually had to make a donation to charity. So little things. But we're so competitive that we started putting chocolates on everybody's desk in the morning. Oh, here, have a donut. It's just one. So at the end, we had to find somebody to give us $100 or so we could get charity to give us money rather than the other way around. So we started to train for boot camps every morning, and we started doing the Tough Mudder together as a group. So we've done 3 Tough Mudders now. As those things you do every day, those repeating those little things over and over and over again, that adds up to those big things. It's involving the families. So for yourselves, I'd encourage you to start creating kites. But when you pick your kites, make sure they align your values. So you can pick things at will, just, I'm going to go out and achieve X revenue or achieve these. But if you don't align them to the values, you'll have a really hard time sticking to those kites. So for us, our values are on the wall. Everybody sees them. We place our values absolutely everywhere. We live and breathe them. You can see that getting involved in the community and doing those little things right as part of the values. What's not on there is one of our values is failure is an option, but that's intentionally left off. Setting our goals for the head for the next number of years, we start to identify what we want to achieve. And you can see actually that even today that we start putting those little kites, those little tails underneath those objectives we have on the wall. So in this instance, we have become a B Corp certified company by 2017. We submitted our application. We had our interview last week. By 2018, we want to have 10 million nodes in our wireless mesh. 2019, we want to be recognized as one of the best companies in Canada, which has a whole bunch of financial performance opportunities. We're well on track for that. And we also want to meet a head of state. So if anybody knows Trudeau, we'd love an introduction. That's one of our goals we have. We don't want to meet Trump. Even if you do know him, tell him to fuck off. But it is doing those little things, repeating over and over and over again. The other important thing to know is that it's not just you. So as much as we have corporate goals, as much as we try to ask our team to follow our goals and our corporate objectives, make sure you do the same thing with your teams as well. So we have a whole dream program at the office where we basically say, here's what our goals are. What are your goals? What are your dreams? What are your hopes? What are your aspirations? If you start to align yourselves to your employees and your team's goals, you can help them achieve their personal goals. So this is actually a picture of myself on the right with my wife a few years ago where we had a chance to go off to Amsterdam because I was not getting enough time to unplug. I'm sure many people here are the same way. You're living and breathing on your phone. For me, I needed a goal to actually set, I need time to be alone with my wife. So we had a few days in Amsterdam, just unplugged. When you achieve those goals, good things happen. So we set those goals in 2015. In 2015, we were recognized by the BC Tech Association as the best in BC for work, life, and play, which we won the next year as well. We're also recognized last year as the best in BC for the best workplace. Those are all coming from objectives we thought we'd be able to achieve 4, 5, 6 years down the road. So what I ask for you guys to do is set your goals, set your hopes, and try to do things right. Thank you.
Were there any questions for John? I'm going to just show of hands, and I'll bring the mic around. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have it's an unlimited community engagement program, a community involvement program. So people go off and volunteer. Sanju, who's here, is off tomorrow doing coding with kids in one of the public schools. Chris had some high school students in today giving him entrepreneurship advice. We had somebody asking us today if they can help out with a yachts and just business advice program. But whatever we can do to get involved, it's an unlimited amount. And we try to build on it each time. Right now, it works out to about 4 hours per employee. So it's for our current target, but we'll well past that. Per month. Yeah.
Any other questions? I'll bring the mic. Ross.
If I need it.
You don't need it?
Probably not.
Okay, perfect.
Just curious, being based in Maple Ridge, how's finding talent, finding employees with different skill sets? Is it difficult with your location? Do you have reverse commuters? Are people coming from Vancouver down there every morning? Or?
Great question. We're actually closer to 800,000 people than they are in downtown Vancouver. All the talent that you're looking for is living in the burbs. So if we bring talent from, it's 30 minutes our office from First and Commercial. So it's going against traffic. There is no traffic. What we found is that our current talent we're driving and pulling from saves an average in 8.5 hours a week in commuting time. But if you start looking at the cost of living downtown here and what you're actually having to deal with, it's horrible. You have no room to grow and you have no room to do that. And all the talent you're looking for who has that 3, 4, 5, 10 years experience, they're living in the burbs, living from Port Moody to Coquitlam to Langley to Surrey to Burnaby, and that's where we are. So from a talent perspective, we have openings. If anybody, we especially need a blockchain person, need more product management, need more talent all over the board. But there is talent available. It's that the talent that's out there is not looking, and that's our challenge. Because all the great talent, they're already there. They just don't know that there's a tech company in their own backyard. That's our biggest challenge.
Any other questions? Last question. Sorry.
No, I'm not taking him. He works for me.
Oh, it doesn't count. It really doesn't count. Right over here.
What does left do?
Good question.
Question.
We consider ourselves a tech innovations and media company. So what that means is that we had a whole bunch of projects we thought were kind of cool. We just kept on doing those. We have a network of consumer internet and mobile brands, primarily in travel. We will push through about $350 million in travel bookings this year for everything from rentalhomes.com to cruiseships.com to rentbyowner.com. That's all the legacy stuff that pays the bills. The new stuff is all mobile mesh, so peer-to-peer communications over from device to device to device without using internet and mobile communications. And that's really where the future of the company is.
Show of hands who lives in the burbs, other than me. There we go. There we go. Show those hands with pride. I'm in Richmond.